Hey, good afternoon. This is Billy Carter back with Mr. Grant Troop. Just had a nice little rain shower.
Heavy rain?
Heavy rain. Stepped out into a beautiful cornfield here, and as soon as we stepped out, it's starting to push ears and silk. It's got that aroma that you just love. You know, you come out and it's sweet and it's nice, and you know, not only is it pleasant that way, but when you smell it and you see these ears set like that, it's pleasant to think about for that checkbook. You know what I mean? For that back pocket.
It is set. It is set.
It is you know, his spacing, his planting depth was good right here. The color is maintained good on this corn. It's just a phenomenal piece of corn. And the other that we came by was really good looking. Tell us a little bit, you've been managing this corn for the growers. Tell us a little bit about what you got going on this season.
Well, this farmer, corn, soybeans, and wheat's his main crops. A little bit of barley every now and then, but mainly a grain producer on a former dairy farm. So good fertility. He's maintained the fertility from having the dairy. Does some minimum tillage, no-tills some soybeans after small grain, that kind of thing, but it's pretty much minimum tillage, good fertility. A very conscientious farmer. He gets the seeds planted at the right depth, at the right populations, good spacing like Billy was saying, and does a good job of setting up the crop for success. He's got an in-furrow program. He used some AgXplore products, the octane, the sugar to get the microbes cranked up and doing their job early in the season when you plant. The microbes and their making nutrients into a plant available form can lag sometimes for the crop demand. So some octane at a quart per acre. Some Premier Pack Advanced, which has got a number of the AgXplore technologies in, the NAT technology, nutrient enhancement technology, which helps free up and make nutrients available and maintain them available for the growing season. So you maintain that nutrient available, particularly phosphorus and potash, but also some of the micronutrients. So that nutrient availability is a really important part of that Premier Pack Advanced formula. Plus it improves the availability of the in-furrow fertilizer that you're placing in there. And then it's got a micronutrient package in it, so if you're just using a 24-6 or a 10-34-0 in-furrow, you can put this micronutrient mix in Premier Pack Advanced and give yourself a more balanced fertility approach in furrow with your micronutrients. And I really like the fact that there's zinc, manganese, and copper in that product, in the Premier Pack Advanced, because those are the primaries for fighting disease and for plant health.
You know, that brought me up to something you just talked about, the copper. Had a big windstorm came through. You necked some of his corn on this grower. Corn down, you come by, looked at it a couple days later. What was something that you found to go along with the copper on that neck corn or that corn that bounced back up?
Yeah, really strong windstorm here about 2.5 weeks ago. And the field that's behind us right now, it was laying over significantly, some of it almost flat. And the farmer called me just almost in tears, really. You can see how pretty it looks. And it was that way before the wind hit it, and then the wind took it down. But we had calm weather, a lot of sun the following couple days, and this corn stood up. Doesn't happen very often. So I asked him, I said, can you send me your soil test reports from all the fields on the farm that were affected, where the worst of the downdraft happened on this farm? And he sent me the soil tests, and we could pretty much look at a field and figure out damage on the corn based on the copper level in the field. So if you were deficient in copper, there was a lot more stalk breakage, a lot more corn down that wasn't going to come back up, whereas the corn that had a sufficient copper level, that corn seemed not to break as easy, had more springiness to it, and stood back up much better. And we could kind of go field to field, look at that copper level and how that copper level related to phosphorus, and that gave a good reason why that particular corn stood back up. So that balance of nutrients, critical. I mean, there's so many things we don't normally think about until after an event like that, and then copper adds some resiliency to corn to be able to bend and then straighten back up without breaking. And it certainly was a big benefit and help to have that right in this farmer's operation.
how's his nitrogen here? You talk about former dairies. He's still using some manures, or he's done with manure, anhydrous, 32-28. What's he doing? Is he split applying? Is he a one application?
Yeah, he split applies these liquid nitrogen. He'll get a little bit of dairy manure in if he can get it from a local dairy, but they don't have any animals other than they're raising a few dairy replacement animals, so they don't have enough manure to cover near all the ground they're farming. So it's mostly UANs or fertilizer source, and they put a lot out at planting time with the planter.
We have a big tractor and planter coming by, so I'm going to pause this for a moment and move it. So we just had to move that for the planter to come through. So anyway, we were talking about the nitrogen. Split applying is liquid.
Split applying, he'll do a certain amount with the burn down, treated with Contain Advanced, 30%, or a 27.3 or 2 or 3, whatever his nitrogen count is with his sulfur. So it puts a Contain Advanced with it, it's burned down, and he puts a shot on with the planter and a 2x2, and then he comes back, side dresses, and puts whatever the crop's calling for at the time. And he splits it up according to sort of how heavy the soil is, which is a kind of a good rule of thumb. Don't put more than 10 times the CEC number. So if the CEC of this field's 9, you wouldn't want to put more than 90 units of nitrogen out at one time, because you just don't have the fines, and by the fines I mean clay and organic matter, to hold that nitrogen to protect it from getting away from you, leaching away. So you kind of have a guideline there, how much to put out at one time, because if you put more than that, that extra is more subject to environmental loss. And with the cost of fertilizer today, you want to keep every pound you're investing into that field.
Well, with the pollen starting to drop, tassels on, pollen starting to drop, silk's going, getting ready for fungicide time. How are y'all going to address anything for late season? Will it be a single fungicide, a double fungicide for plant health? What's our game plan on the crop there?
This corn will get a VT application, but I guess it already had it, but by the where we're at here. Yeah, I think he was through, he said last week, and did that application. And then we'll look at the corn, we'll do the crop disease monitoring and see where our tar spot or gray spot and those kind of things are at in the community, particularly tar spot. You can kind of figure and look at where it's moving around, where it's showing up and being a problem. Gray leaf spots pretty near everywhere in our area. It's just a matter of when it shows up. So we'll stay proactive, and if we see or hear of disease in the area, we'll treat. This particular farm is fairly high elevation for the local area. I mean, we're on a hill here. Most of the farm's fairly high, so it's not prone to morning dews and a lot of plant wetting by being wet in the morning from dews overnight. So you don't have to go to extremes to keep this corn clean most years. And he does a good job of rotating his crops so that you're not corn to corn in the same field year after year after year, and you can get disease pressure build up pretty good in those kind of environments. But you can see a lot of the stalks sending out tassel, or have the tassel out and silks out for 2 years. And we saw some fields on the other end of the farm, maybe just a little bit further on, and it looks like maybe 2 years are coming on these hybrids this year.
Well, let's hope so. Well, Grant, we thank you for bringing us once again a good looking crop. I think it goes back to the program approach you're using on everyone, not just one thing and calling it done. I think it's a program approach, but looking good. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for supporting AgXplore, and keep looking for another video from Grant.